Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am in such a good mood lately because the weather is turning around. It is getting warm outside. I can literally see leaves growing on this tree outside of this window over here. Serotonin has been boosted. Boosted. So, with that being said, let's get into this video. As you guys can see by the title and the thumbnail of this video, we are going to be doing a video talking purely about the books that I would sell my soul to read for the first time again. I know you guys have some books like that. We all have books like that we would genuinely sell our souls to be able to read for the first time again. And that's why we recommend books to our friends, so that we can live vicariously through them. So, let's talk about the books that I would sell my soul for. I only have physical copies for a few of these books that I would like to read for the first time again. Let's just go ahead and get started. Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I know this might be a hot take. Sorry, I'm putting a blanket on my legs. My legs are cold. This might be a hot take, but I loved this book so much. Will? I absolutely loved him. He is a bodyguard for, I can't remember what her name was. Amelia. So he's a bodyguard for Amelia, and he is back in the town where Amy is. I think her name is Amy. Annie. He is back in the town where Annie is, and they had known each other in the past, but you know how that goes. So yeah, she is having a hard time dating. So Will is going to tutor her to help her get better with dating. But amidst all of that, they end up falling for each other. And I think that is so beautiful. I think that's one of the more common romance themes that we read about. But it is so beautiful every single time, the way that these authors have the ability to kind of write the same story in a way, but also not. They just have a little switch for it. So it's just, come on. I love it. Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. Oh my gosh, this book. I read this for book club a while ago. And I remember hearing that this book was a fanfic for Keanu Reeves, and I was like, okay. But I ended up loving this book so much. It did not feel like a fanfic in the way that you're just like, oh, that's definitely Keanu Reeves. You know what I mean? But our main character, her name is Amaryllis or Amaryllis, but she goes by Amma. And our main male character is Elliot, and I love Elliot so much. He is a florist for weddings, and she is a wedding planner, so they work together. They try not to, but they end up working together for this specific wedding. And come to find out that Mr. Elliot, he is a great guy, just put into a morally gray character. He's just so quiet. He's very standoffish, but such a great character. And he's got tattoos of like all of these different flowers because he's a florist. I just love him so much. Just 10 out of 10. Book number 3, Daisy Jones and the Six. I talked about this book in my library tour. This was my first time reading a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and I became so obsessed. I got this for Christmas, not last year, but the year before that, I believe. And I fell in love with every single character in this book. Daisy and Billy. This book is so good. I would literally literally sell my soul to read this book again. This book, I think, is lightly based around Fleetwood Mac, but I can't be 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure this is lightly based around Fleetwood Mac, not to say that everything in this book is factual to Fleetwood Mac, but I'm pretty sure it is lightly based around them. And I love, love a good band. I just love a good band. And come on, this book was so good. And if you like the book a lot, guess what? There's a TV show. And it is brilliant. I am not one to usually say that I like the movie or the TV show that is based off of a book, because usually they frustrate me because they've cut out important things or they've changed things. And I'm like, stop doing that. But this one stayed really true to the book. There were a few things that were different in the show compared to the book, but not enough to bother me. Daisy Jones and the Six. You guys read this book. Read this book. Now this one, I saw this sitting on a shelf in Ollie's. It was either Ollie's or Sam's. I can't remember, but I saw it sitting on the shelf and I was like, oh, that's a decently short book. Like, that'll be a good book to read right now, because I'm pretty sure it was the end of last year and I was trying to get my read count up. So I was trying to find like small books that also seemed like they had good plot. The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer. This book was beautiful and devastating. And I think I remember, yeah, our main character, Lucy, she grew up without parents and she takes care, I think she's a teacher. Yep, she's a teacher, and she has this little boy that is in school with her, and she's trying to adopt him, and becoming a family is pretty difficult for them. And the two characters are a little boy, his name is Christopher. Yeah. So Christopher and Lucy, the way that she tries to help Christopher is by reading him these books. I think they're called, Clock Island. The Clock Island books, I believe, is what they're called. But they get sent a invitation to go to Clock Island to try to win the only copy available of the last book that the author in this book, what's his name? Jack Masterson is the name of the author of the Clock Island books. And so they get an invitation for her to go to try to win the last copy of his book, of the last book that he ever wrote. And she ends up meeting his illustrator, and he ends up being a really, really, really great character. And this book was everything I needed in the moment that I needed it. I don't know how to explain this book without just talking for hours about it, because this book was genuinely so good. So good. So if you guys see this one sitting around, it is only 300 pages. So good. Now, I think this one speaks for itself. This one speaks for itself, I believe. But Zayden Ryerson, Violet Sorrengail, they are some of the most badass characters I have ever read about. I am obsessed with them. Me and my sister-in-laws have a joke where the only reason that we can get ourselves to the gym, or at least me and one sister-in-law, the other one, she's actually she goes to the gym religiously. Me and the other sister-in-law, we're kind of lazy, so we have to struggle to get ourselves to the gym. But the way I struggle to get myself to the gym is to train like Violet Sorrengail, because Zayden Ryerson does not date weak women. So I need to be strong. I would love to read this book for the first time. Love to read this book for the first time again. I read this for the first time last year around, I think it was in October. Yeah, it was in October because I remember my parents coming in for my birthday. I started reading this last October, like 2023 October, not 2024 October. And I remember all of my friends that had read this book, they were begging me to send them video updates because they were living vicariously through me at the time, because they would definitely sell their souls to read this book. And one of my friends specifically told me to record myself while I read the last page of this book. So I did, and that was insane. I might have the video somewhere. If I do, I will insert it. If not, well, you know why it's not here. I'm pretty sure I hyperventilated. I was freaking out. Loved this book. Would totally sell my soul to read this for the first time again. And lastly but not least, why do I always do that? It's last but not least. And last but not least, ACOTAR. Me and my sister-in-laws are rereading this book series right now, which is obviously why one of them is missing up there. But I don't know if I can, like, there's no words for these two alone speak for themselves. Now, ACOTAR has a very special place in my heart because it is the book series that got me back into reading as an adult. And I feel like that is very common for a lot of the people that have gotten back into reading in the last few years. It was because of ACOTAR. I had not picked up a book after I graduated from college to read just for fun until my sister-in-law told me to read ACOTAR. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I read the first one in one sitting. I'm pretty sure I read this in a 24-hour period. I didn't sleep much while I was reading these books for the first time because I was so immersed in them. I was obsessed with them. They became my entire personality and still kind of are my entire personality. These books are so good. So good. And rereading them has been a big shock because I'm like, holy cow, how did I miss some of these things? But once again, I obviously missed them because I didn't understand them. But now going back to reread, there are a lot of things in here where I was like, oh, which is why there are literally so many tabs in this book. Now, those are all of the physical books in my library that I would sell my soul for. We had an outfit change. I was frustrated with my outfit before. I was having to take the entire thing off to use the bathroom, and I was just getting frustrated. But back onto what we were talking about earlier, which is all of the books that I would genuinely sell my soul to read for the first time again. And we are on to the books that I read on my Kindle that I do not have in physical form. The first book that I read on my Kindle that I would literally sell my soul for again. Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. You guys, I don't know how to speak about this book without once again talking about it for hours. Whenever I tell you you're going to fall in love with the main character, you're not going to question me. But whenever I tell you that the main character is an octopus, you might start questioning me. You guys, this book was so meaningful. So the next book on my list for the Kindle books that I would I want to read this one again for the first time so bad, but it is more of an erotic romance. So take that with a grain of salt. But it is The Words by Ashley Jade. You guys, this book was so good. Our main female character, her name is Lennon. She is a dork. She, I mean, she was a geek, irrelevant. No one in high school knew her. But she just so happened to be friends with Phoenix in high school for a little bit there, and Phoenix is our main male character in this book. And he is a he's in a band, so he's really famous. He's like super duper star. Like every single thing in the world is all about him. But Lennon, gets a job offer to work with them, I believe. I think she's doing like social media management or something along the lines. So she's like working with him and things get a little bit spicy. But I don't really remember much from that book, so maybe I could read that one again for the first time. But every single book on this list I have been absolutely obsessed with for so long, so long. And these are mainly the books that I recommend to my friends because I want to live vicariously through them while they read it for the first time. So if you are a friend of mine and you have been recommended one of these books, it is because I am obsessed with them. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment downstairs, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.